Over to China, which is targeting U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo over his comments on Chinese tech giants and the Communist Party of China. China State Councilor Wang Yi rejected what he described as American interventionism in China. He asked Pompeo to respect China's social system and the choices made by the people of China. According to him, Beijing is not interested in an ideological confrontation with the United States.
同时，我们尊重世界各国人民自主选择的发展道路，无意同任何国家进行制度竞争，也无意同任何国家搞意识形态对抗。我们希望美方也能尊重中国的社会制度，尊重中国人民的选择，放弃注定失败的干涉主义。
China also unveiled a four-point strategy to improve ties with Washington. It requires both sides to steer clear of direct confrontation and give priority to peace talks. The new framework rejects American efforts to scale back ties with China and urges Washington to uphold its responsibilities as a global power.
对于美方的蛮横无理，中方当然不会坐视不管。 我们的反制措施合情、合理、合法，也完全符合外交惯例。中方没有意愿，也没有兴趣与美方打什么外交战，因为这只会对两国人民的利益造成更多的损害。
Pompeo has been leading America's global campaign against China. He has attacked the Chinese regime on multiple issues, including the new security law in Hong Kong and the internment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Chinese mobile applications have also emerged as a point of contention between the two sides. Pompeo wants to pull so-called untrusted Chinese apps from the American market. On his radar are apps run by Chinese companies like Alibaba, Baidu and Tencent.
We want to see untrusted Chinese apps removed from U.S. app stores. President Trump has mentioned impending action on TikTok, and for good reason. With parent companies based in China, apps like TikTok, WeChat, and others are significant threats to personal data of American citizens, not to mention tools for CCP content censorship.
And to give us a sense of perspective on this news story, I'm joined in by our correspondent Patrick Falk, who's joining me live this hour from Beijing. Patrick, a very good afternoon to you. Now, what might these comments by China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi be aimed at?
Well, there's been a lot of debate about this wolf warrior approach from China, and some reports are suggesting that the Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who's not known to shy away from confrontational remarks himself, may have been trying to ease tensions between the two sides. And one has to wonder what this change in tact is all about. We talked about it a little bit yesterday as well, in fact, when we said that the latest comments that come out of the Foreign Ministry regarding Taiwan weren't accompanied by any threats or warnings of retaliation, which did seem to be a bit of a shift from what we've seen of late from China. So we're wondering exactly what this is all about and whether or not the developments over the last few days may have had some sort of impact within Beijing and had perhaps some of the leadership questioning whether or not this was the right sort of approach to take, particularly when we consider what's happened with the consulate in Houston and Chengdu, and also with the row over technology, and of course this cabinet level visit to Taiwan as well, which no doubt will have angered a lot of people in Beijing as well.
Right.
So we have to sort of wonder, which of it is these matters will have concerned the most, or whether or not it's an amalgamation of all these things, and whether or not China is able to pull back from the precipice at this point, given the state of affairs, given the state of ties between Washington and Beijing right now.
Right, Patrick, which is why I'd also like to ask you, what is China implying by talking about decoupling with the United States, as has been suggested might happen?
Well, there has also been a lot of discussion about decoupling as well. In fact, at the annual parliamentary sessions this year, President Xi Jinping talked about China needing to protect its interests and being able to be self-sufficient, particularly because of the backlash globally because of COVID-19 and this sort of expectation that it is going to be confronted with a lot of difficulties with a lot of countries around the world, not just the US, and that it may need to focus more on its domestic economy. So, you know, in fact, one of the articles that was in the Global Times today talked about needing to protect itself against potential financial decoupling. As we've seen, that's happened along the lines of trade and technology already. There is a suggestion among some Chinese that they think the US may cut China off from SWIFT payments, which could have some serious ramifications. So, as I say, China is very much concerned about this and wants to be prepared for that possibility.
It's very interesting that you mentioned trade, because I actually would like to ask you, will the ongoing rift between the United States and China impact the review of the trade deal that's all set to happen later this month?
Well, that's hard to say. As you say, it's not far away from now that is happening. That is perhaps part of what is on China's mind, wanting to ease tensions going into these discussions so that there is a sort of platform for the two sides to actually be able to talk and review what's happening right now. There have been reports suggesting that China's actually only been able to fulfill a very small amount of the Phase 1 trade deal. As we know, it has 2 years to fulfill this deal, and only a small percentage of that has been fulfilled so far. But, you know, I think it's fair to say as well that the coronavirus pandemic was an unexpected situation, so perhaps there will be some sort of discussion on whether or not some sort of agreement can be made to lengthen the agreement or ease this sort of burden that has come with COVID-19 as well.
Right, we will have to wait and watch how Phase 1 of this review actually pans out. Thank you so much, Patrick Falk, for bringing us all the latest.